The bottom line is that what Tim did in the first 2-3 years was more cold, a lot more proactive, a lot more pushing out. Today, it's attraction, it's coming in, and it's a better kind of business because they look at you and you're positioned as an expert and they'll do business more on your terms. But what you're saying is you have earned that right, that you must be prepared in the early stages to do bits that are cold, uncomfortable. Hi everyone, I've got with me Tim Heavyside. I've been really keen to get this interview over a period of time because Tim has to be one of the most award-winning agents. He's won, and we're going to go through them, but REIV Awards, REI Australia Awards, #1 at Fletcher's, has written between 1 and 1.5 million for the last 4 years, and as we speak is at 985,000 in gross commission, and we've still got 5 months to go to the end of this financial year. Welcome.
G'day, Tom.
Hey, Tim, on the run, no preparation. I like it this way. I like to find out the true, authentic Tim Heavyside. How long you been in real estate?
12 years.
You must see value in being the auctioneer because you don't do it just because you like it. I'm sure you like it. Most auctioneers do like it, but it must be more than that. There must be a reason why you do it.
Initially, I was a bit reluctant to become an auctioneer. I've been doing auctioneering for a number of years now, since 2007. But at the start, I didn't want to do it. I was a bit reluctant, but and it was very ordinary initially. But it's a huge advantage being the agent auctioneer. You get to understand the buyers and look at what's in their eyes when you go out and conduct an auction, definitely.
So you think that you being the auctioneer actually can help you deal and communicate with those buyers that you've picked up along the campaign?
Definitely. But not only from that, also from a profile element.
Yeah.
It gets you out there. I was at a home recently where this buyer came through the home, and don't worry, I know Tim. It was a property I was managing with Belinda, a colleague of mine. They said, I know Tim sold my home. And I was saying to Belinda, I don't remember. I don't remember the buyer. And can you go and ask? And it found out that I wasn't actually the salesperson. I was just the auctioneer.
Right.
But in their mind, Tim sold it for me. And that's what you get, that profile. Certainly being an auctioneer does help you list more properties.
Yeah, and to our viewers out there, I know that, the 15,000 viewers I've got, a portion of those are in Melbourne, the rest are outside of Melbourne, where auctioneers do the job. But there are clear reasons I can see, and I might be putting my auctioneer friends out of business here that just do auctions, but the bottom line is, being that authoritarian figure there on the day gives you this visibility, profile, and positioning in the market, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. Don't worry, you're still the trusted advisor as the salesperson. You just play two hats.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then it's a skill that certainly propels your business forward.
Yeah. I'd love to talk to you about how you go about getting your listings, because one of the biggest challenges real estate agents have is they say they don't have enough listing opportunities. Obviously, with the amount of auctions you do and the volume you do, you get a lot of open houses. You must pick up a lot of business from your open houses, your profile, referrals. Explain the main sources of your listing presentations now and in the early days when you weren't writing 1.5 mil, when you're writing 200 or 300 grand a year.
Okay.
How it changed?
Certainly. So initially, I was absolutely fighting for anything. If we could get an open for inspection, if I could get my name on an open for inspection in the early years, and I used to work the open for inspection really hard. I was like a bulldog. If there was an opportunity there, I'd be doing an appraisal. And appraisal is the actual the biggest thing in a real estate agent's life. If you've got an appraisal, that propels you into getting a listing and sale, etc. So initially I was doing about 100 appraisals, 50 to 100 appraisals a year.
Right.
And then I just made a focus on doing more appraisals.
Right.
How that came about, I'd go out and do everything possible. So a bit of door knocking. We used to do for sale by owners. And that's a tough gig, Tom, for sale by owners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not that many for sale by owner ads now, is there?
Oh, there is. If you look, So you'll still read it if you pick up the paper in the local paper.
Yeah.
If you were to look on the websites, because they've got for sale by owner websites, that it is there. And for the first, I guess, 1.5 years of my business, I lived on those for sale by owners. That was my income.
So you would be ringing up people that specifically don't want to list with an agent.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Well, initially, I wasn't very good at it, and I had a mentor back then in those years. I was at a different company, and I was told, why don't you go and see this guy? And so I went and saw him and went through some scripts with him, and that really exploded my business. I was able to talk to them. And some of the scripts that I was given, which I used, was when you ring up, don't say it's Tim Heavyside from whatever real estate company. Say, look, I'm just inquiring about the ad. And then the actual person would do a big sell on their property, and then you say to them, look, I think I actually have got a buyer for that. Can I meet up with you?
Right.
And then
so you wouldn't have told them that you're a real estate?
No. Right. And then when you meet up with them, hang on a minute, you're a real estate agent. Yeah, that's right. I am a real estate. You didn't say that you were or not a real estate. It wasn't deceiving or anything.
Right.
And then you got an opportunity to meet with a vendor. And as you know, Tom, this business is all about face to face.
Yeah.
But that was some years back. So what's happened now since then? And that was a way of income stream, but it wasn't great numbers. Initially, when I got into the business, my first year I wrote about $48,000 in GCI, and the next year I wrote about $149.
Right.
So it wasn't setting on the world on fire and doing for sale by owners.
So that was like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, since then, the way that you do get business as an estate agent, you do letterbox drops. There's cold calling, if you like. There's door knocking, other people's listings.
Yeah.
And,
when we say other people, you mean around?
That's right.
Around boards.
Yes,
yeah.
all of that sort of thing. And that's a means of finding business, but it's not a great means of finding business because you're pushing yourself onto them.
Yeah.
It's not until you start getting some runs on the board and getting your name out there that business starts to come your way and it's a little bit easier. But you've got to do the hard yards at the start.
Yeah.
And so what I found, that the more appraisals you just got to be there, you're going to get more business.
Yeah.
And then along the line, I've really worked on my listing presentation and just rip off and duplicate really off other because the path has already been laden with really excellent real estate agents. You just got to follow what they've done to success. That's how I did it, and that's how a lot of leading agents certainly have performed over the years.
Okay, gang, this is gold. I'm telling you, I see a lot of agents, I speak to them all the time. The way that it was articulated by Tim, it's worth me recapping. The bottom line is that what Tim did in the first 2-3 years was more cold, a lot more proactive, a lot more pushing out. Today, it's attraction, it's coming in. And it's a better kind of business because they look at you and you're positioned as an expert and they'll do business more on your terms. But what you're saying is you have earned that right, that you must be prepared in the early stages to do bits that are cold, uncomfortable.
You've got to pay the full price up front. You've got to invest in yourself, do all the training, do all the hours, work hard for nothing. And then eventually it comes back to you. I remember the first time I ever did an auction.
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared. It was 2007 preliminary grand final, Geelong versus Collingwood. Geelong won by a goal. I barracked for the Cats.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It was barracking. It was a Friday night, and the day after that, I called my very first auction.
Wow.
And I got it there. Wasn't prepared, and I was doing it with a colleague of mine, Jeremy. And I said to Jeremy 5 minutes before the auction, I had half of the Fletcher's team there to support me. I had my family. I had potential vendors, I had existing vendors, I had old vendors come and see me. And I said to Jeremy, mate, what am I going to say about this property? Yeah. And I did a shocking job, Tom. And I did sell it through negotiation, didn't sell it under the hammer. That Monday, I went around to see this lady's house that I'd sold for before. It was a Chinese lady,
right.
But she was an existing client. And I got in the door and she said, Tim, before we go any further, I just want to know, I want to tell you something. I do want to sell my home with you, but I've changed my mind. I don't want to do the auction.
Right.
I thought, it's a real kick in the guts. I said, well, because I'm average auctioneer.
Right.
And then I went on and sold it privately. And a few years later, and I've invested myself in auctioneering, going to competitions. You've got to live outside your comfort zone to actually perform and do better. So you've got to be out there, pushing yourself out. And I did that, pushed myself out there. And I get a lot better. I'm not saying I'm the best auctioneer in the world, by no means. And by doing that, I called it an auction, I think it was in 4 years later, and this same lady saw me perform an auction where I called it and sold it 175 over reserve. She come up to me after the auction. She said, "Tim, I reckon you're now the best auctioneer."
Same lady.
Same lady. This time I want you to come around and sell my home. And I did. I went around there and I auctioned and sold her home, and I got complete validation. It's a full circle.
Okay, so Tim, you've said something really well there, and that was all the good stuff happens outside of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
doesn't it? So what you're saying is you would not be that great auctioneer that got 175 had you not done that auction in 2007 after the Geelong had played the grand final, right?
We won.
And you won. So that was a good
That
thing.
was a good thing,
That was
yeah.
a good thing. But I can't stress the importance that every day there are things that you can do that push you out of your comfort zone. I think that you having 4 PAs is pushing you out of your comfort zone, because there's 4 sets of people that you've got to look after, fund, support, and manage. And a lot of people watching this video are probably thinking, you know what, I'm scared about putting 1 PA on.
Yeah.
I mean, at what time did you put your first PA on?
Oh, it was years ago.
Right.
And then I got to a point, I think I was writing about 350 back, roughly.
Yeah.
It's going back some time. And I had a coach who I couldn't afford to have a coach.
Right.
And he said, "You've got to put on a PA." And I said, "Well, I can't afford it." He said, "Just do it." And I put on a PA, and then I was able to go through certain ways of being able to get my business to the next level. And then that was Anna. It was a part-time PA.
Right.
And then I grew the business so much that I needed a full-time assistant.
Right.
And so I asked Anna to go full-time, and she, at that point in time, and still now, she couldn't. She just got school hours because she's a mum.
Right.
And so I had to put on a full-time PA. And then I needed Anna back to come back and fill in the gaps. But to do that, I needed Anna to help me with my structure,
Yeah.
to fill that gap in. Right now, most of the success I've got is because I've got a team around me that helps me all the time. So it's not just one, it's actually our team is successful. I think that's really important.
Okay. Tim, your competition, you got good competition.
Absolutely.
Do they ever go to a listing presentation and say, "Oh, well, Tim's great, but Tim relies on his team"?
Yeah.
Or that sort of, lingo that sometimes they use against big agents. What does that happen or not really?
Oh, it does happen. And they say, "Well, are we going to get you, Tim, or are we going to get one of your assistants?" I say, "You're going to get all of us."
Right.
So you're going to get everyone. So you're going to get Alison, who's going to be looking after all the administration, because you don't want me, booking in photographers. You want me selling it, don't you? Yeah, that's it. I do want to be selling it for you. And we're going to have a buyer agent, because they'll make sure they get through all the buyer emails, they'll get through all the text messages, they'll get through all the phone inquiries. Everyone that comes through and open for inspection, Albert's going to ring back everyone. So come auction day, I'm going to be able to give you the best advice in terms of getting you the best price. Isn't that important?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great response. I think what's great about it is the truth, isn't it? I think what you've just said is the absolute truth. You don't want the person that's supposed to be having conversations about this property taking out photos and, doing that sort of stuff. That's not the gig.
My role as a salesperson.
Correct.
Yeah.
Tim, I want to talk about, typically you do your callbacks on what day? Monday?
Monday.
Okay.
Sometimes on a Saturday night.
Sometimes Saturday night?
Yeah.
Okay. You must get through big numbers, particularly at the moment. The market's pretty hot. Big numbers coming through opens. Like, what are we talking, 100 calls?
A bit more than that.
Yeah.
So I've got 6 auctions this weekend. So sometimes we might have 25 different appointments in our calendar outlook on a Saturday.
So they go into a soft database system?
Yeah. So all the callbacks, like we have buyer books.
Yeah.
It's a bit archaic, but we write them all down.
So when you say a buyer book, a property's got a...
Each property has got a book.
Yeah.
And it's got everything associated with that property.
The buyers that have come through,
Every buyer's
the
come through,
details,
goes into that buyer book.
Right.
And then after that property is sold, then we've got that information that's easy to reach, to refer buyers onto other properties.
Right.
It's a great system. It works for us.
So you love it. So you're a very manual person in terms. So pen and paper, and what you do is you use those lists. What about prospective vendor lists, like listings that you're chasing? Are they on a specific file or?
In my office, I use a whiteboard.
Right.
We've got three whiteboards.
Yeah.
Actually, 4 whiteboards in the office that serve a purpose. One of them's a chase list. One of them's current figures, projections, targets, goals, etc. Another one is where the campaign's up to date, and another one's more of an administration, where it is in terms of settlements.
Okay, so these things are at your face constantly.
Yeah, all around, and the whole team can see it. So
Right.
it's not just me, it's not my bit of paper, it's the team. We're all looking at it all the time.
Right. Do you do vendor meetings?
Absolutely.
Okay, so typically, if I were to list with Tim Heavyside,
Yeah.
what's the 4-week look like in terms of vendor service?
So after the property's been listed,
Yeah.
then we'll go through a structure where I'll introduce Alison to the property. She goes out and has a look at it,
Yeah.
in terms of maybe floor plan, photos, that sort of thing. And then once the property's up and about and listed, then I have a half-time vendor meeting with a structured meeting, a sit-down meeting with them, and then one prior to the auction. So they're the two in the middle, but after each open for inspection and during the week, we've got contact either via whatever the vendor wants in terms of, we ask them what type of communication they'd like, whether or not it'd be a phone call, whether or not it be a text message or an email or all three, whatever they like.
And what are they normally getting? How many people came through? Is that sort of thing?
Yeah, just general, how it went. It could mean we might need a bit of vendor management in terms of the price guide or the quote. We've got a concern. For example, the other day I had a property where people were tripping up coming into the steps because the way that this new home was built had like timber steps going up, but there was step like that.
Yeah.
And people were tripping up on it, and I was explaining this to the vendor. And I thought, well, what are we going to do? And I said, get some big pot plants, and that way they can visually see the difference in the steps. Or we can get some tape and put them on the front, like black tape, not like proper tape.
Yeah.
And so we got some big, and the problem was solved. But just stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Tim, at an open house, how many of them are you there? There's 2 of you?
2.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, you're taking names and phone numbers or emails as well, or just...
How I like to do an open for inspection, we shake hands with anyone coming, engage them, and then I'd say, how do you do? My name is Tim, and then that would volunteer to provide their first name. This is the structure, Tom. I know it's a bit long, but bear with me a second.
Yeah. And
then they would generally say, if we say, how do you do? My name is Tim. If you shake hands with someone, you're more likely they're going to remember you. So I shake hands with absolutely everyone at my opens. So if there's 100 groups coming through, I'll shake hands with absolutely everyone. So come through one of my opens, I'll shake everyone's hand. And so does my colleague Albert, and if Michelle's with me, they'll also shake hands. It's very important to me.
So, same with women, you shake guys' hands, girls, hi, it's Tim Heavyside.
Yeah, and the structure is, if there's a couple, so if you're coming through one of my opens with your wife, let's say, and you're approaching me first, the general rule of thumb is that you want to be contacted on an unconscious level, you want to be that contacted person.
Right, okay, good takeaway point. So, the person that is the more dominant in that first impression...
Yeah, walks up first.
Right.
Out of the two. You watch, there'll always be someone that walks up first.
Right.
This is just body language, this is how it works.
Okay.
So I would then say, how do you do, Tom? My name's Tim. I'll just register your details. So, Tom, what is your surname? And you would say Panos. And Panos, is that spelled Panos? So I never assume anything.
Yeah.
And then your best phone number, and they would provide that, whether it be a mobile, and the current suburb that you're living in, Tom. And how did you know this property was available?
Right.
And that's the structure that I ask. And then I would then, after that, if I hadn't already shaken hands with your wife, I would then ask for her first name, and that's all I want.
Right.
Your first and surname, mobile number, suburb, where you first knew about the property, your partner's details. Then in my own notes, if you've got children, I'll just write, if you had 2 plus 2, and that way I remember how many people are coming and going at my open.
Okay. This is a lot of information, but it's all critical stuff here. I want to ask you about, you're asking them about the suburb that they've come from. Is that helping you get more information about where they're at, buying, selling?
Get their listing.
Yeah.
So,
is there any tips that you can share with our listeners on how you go about creating listing opportunities from people that are at open houses?
I try and set up the MO right there and then, so the market appraisal. So at the end of once they've come through the home, and we really do get on a one-on-one basis. So don't ask the question, is the home of any interest to you? Because 9 out of 10 times they'll have a negative comment.
Right.
And our role as salespeople is to influence people.
Yeah.
Now that can be on a positive level or a negative level.
Yeah.
But if I'm opening it up like, do you have any interest, Tom?
Yeah.
a 90% chance that they're not going to like it for whatever reason.
Right.
And they're going to rubbish the home in front of everyone else.
Correct.
So we don't want any of that happening.
Right.
None of that. So I would walk them out.
Right.
And then Albert would be there.
Right.
And I'd come back. We walk people in and out all the time.
Right.
And on a one-on-one basis, I'd say, so Tom, is the property of interest to you? It is, Tim. And I would go and explore that path. And then I'd say to you, now, just curious, so if you were to buy the property, what would you do with yours in, say, Camberwell?
If you were to buy the property, what would you do yours with Camberwell?
What would you do with yours in Camberwell?
Okay.
Oh, I'd probably sell it. Oh, okay. See how it's natural?
Yeah.
It comes into the conversation then. You're not asking for an appraisal.
Yeah.
It's just coming up.
Yeah. That's gold. Okay, so from there, you more or less invite yourself.
That's right.
Right, to go over.
Yes.
And how just give me the dialogue on that.
Certainly. So I'll say, we'd probably sell it. Oh, that's interesting. Well, have you had Fletchers provide advice on your home recently?
No.
No, okay. Well, what's your address?
27 Smith Street.
But you put your pen on the paper. That's why I like paper so much.
Right.
You put your pen on the paper, and what's your address? And you just assume that they're going to give it to you, and it works. You write down their address. Once they've given you the address, everything else is a piece of cake. You set the appointment, everything else, but you've got to get their address. They feel semi-obligated already. Okay,
So Tim started this conversation talking about a KPI of appraisals. You want to improve your income. Appraisals is the biggest driver to do that. And there's another example of meeting that target of getting more appraisals. That's all. All these things lead to settlements, don't they?
That's it. And income.
And income, right? Okay, that's really good. The way that you've executed that is really good for our viewers there. Tim, do they on Monday when you've done your callbacks or Saturday afternoon, they get written reports and
the vendors?
The vendors.
Oh, certainly.
And they keep getting those over the 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's standard general practice.
Reserve meetings. When do you have set a reserve?
Just prior to auction. So
the day of the auction.
I'm a big believer of the best decisions in life are those when you've got all the information.
Yeah.
So I give my vendors all of the best information, and then they make an informed decision based on that.
Right.
So that could be during the auction time.
It could be during
the reserve is subject to change.
Right. Okay. Tim, I want to ask right now, are you naturally motivated?
Yeah.
Were you good in travel?
Yes.
Yeah?
I was a good...
You make more money here than travel, obviously.
Yeah. In the travel industry, there's also benchmarks, and I was reasonably good at it, yes.
Right. Okay. What makes you good? You're hungry, obviously.
I like to win.
Yeah. You hate losing listings?
I hate losing listings, but not to the point of disgust.
Right.
Everyone loses listings. It's
when you lose a listing,
yeah.
Tell me what the next 5 minutes look like.
A bit disappointed that you just try and really not take it personal. I think in the early days, you'd go, well, I remember having friends of ours not go with me for whatever reason. I felt it was a bit too close. Very, very cut up and that sort of thing. But you learn to deal with it when you get... Otherwise, it consumes you. And I hate negative energy, Tom.
Right.
I just want to focus on positive energy.
Yeah.
Because it's gone. So
Yeah.
you wish the vendor all the best, and then you call them and wish them sincerely all the best for their auction. Wish them well. If they don't sell, then they're going to come back to you.
Yeah.
Or they're going to remember you. And I've had many occasions where they've said, look, I'm referring you to Tim Heavyside. We didn't go with him, and we felt like it was a mistake.
Wow.
And that is more powerful than even they've sold with you, and then they're referring you.
So graciously, and with the right intent, wish them all the best.
Yeah.
Let go. Don't get too emotionally connected to it. And the law of abundance and the law of attraction says it will take care of itself.
I believe in treating people with respect, kindness, and professionalism. If you treat everyone like that, you're going to win. This is a service industry where you've got to serve people. So you leave your ego at the door and you get on with the humble work of being an estate agent and helping people. And that's when you win.
Beautiful. You're exceptional at getting vendor paid marketing. I know everyone talks about the importance of belief.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's important, believing in it.
Yes.
Other things that you can tell us that makes you good at getting media dollars?
I'd put myself in the vendor's shoes when I'm talking to them. So just recently I did sell my home and I did invest in local papers and premium adverts, and it really does work. So you can speak with a lot of confidence. If this was my home, Tom, I tell you this is how I would do it. And if you're dealing with a plumber, an electrician, a lawyer, and you speak to them, I'm dealing with an architect, and I say, look, if this is your home, this is the brief I want from you, the architect. If this was your home, how would you do it? And then you get advice right.
Right.
And sometimes I say to them, look, I can either talk to you, like I'm pitching for the business, or I'm your trusted advisor. Which person do you want to talk to?
Right, right. I hear what you're saying, and it comes across very. I like that. And what you're essentially saying is, if you believe it, and you're putting yourself in that situation,
Yeah.
it's actually the wrong thing not to advise them, isn't it? You feel negligent that you're actually not telling you. I mean, that dialogue you used was very good, Tim. I'm only recommending to you what I would do myself if this was my home.
Yeah. And if you say it with sincerity, and people will know it. They'll look you in the eye, they'll smell it if you don't believe it. It's got to come from your heart.
People can smell, like, the people do forget some of the jargon and the scripts and dialogues, but they never forget the way you've said it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, the feeling that is imposed.
Right.
So that's what I really focus on in vendor paid advertising, on getting the right exposure for the vendor, and inadvertently you're getting good profile for yourself and the company, of course.
Tim, I want to talk about, you talked a little bit about life balance. How does it look like for you?
I've got a wife, 2 children, aged 11, 10.
You got 11 and 10-year-old
Yeah.
wife, okay.
We have structured family holidays that we're always looking forward to something.
Your wife works?
Yeah, at the firm,
Yeah.
which is good. She's understanding, works 2-3 days a week.
She's not in your team?
No,
Right.
Mark, just customer service.
Right.
And she does a wonderful job, and
Right.
she's fantastic. Everyone loves her at the company.
Okay, so you've got your wife, you've got the 2 kids.
Yeah.
So life is pretty hectic. They do things on the weekends. You can't. How does the weekend works with kids? Sunday's your day.
Sunday's my day, but I love cooking time. I invite the kids in to help me cook. My daughter helped me cook veggie soup and roast lamb last Sunday,
Right.
and was involved in that process, and that's good. But I love spending time with them, and it's important to get away from it. I really do switch off pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because it gets so frantic and busy. I don't know. I find it very easy, especially on a Saturday night. It's like everyone's Friday night. I don't know if people find that, but that beer tastes the sweetest on a Saturday night.
Typically, so Saturday you're pretty pumped and excited. 4:30, 5 o'clock. That's your Friday night.
Yeah.
What do you do Saturday nights?
We go out.
Right.
We normally go out for dinner as a family. Sold, not sold, doesn't matter, irrespective. We go out. And then on Sunday it's pretty chilled out.
Right.
So it might be pretty much less is more.
Right.
So the less we can do, the better it is. But yeah, there is commitments with schools, and I'm quite blessed in our family that I've got great in-laws that help with the children, and my wife's very understanding of the role that I play.
All right. Well, look, Tim, how many REIV awards have you won?
4.
4 REIV and REI Australia Agent of the Year. What year was that?
2011 and 13.
2011 and 13. Number 1 at Fletcher's. He's just written under $1 million, and we've still got, like 4 or 5 months to go before the end of this financial year. So you'll probably end up writing over $1.5 million by the sounds of it.
My goal's between 1.6 and 1.8.
1.6 and 1.8. Selling $800,000, $900,000 properties. So we're not talking about selling Russell Crowe's house here, for 10, 20 million.
Sold 74 to date, Tom.
74 to date this financial year. Okay. Tim, I want to thank you. I've picked up so much information. Some of my nuggets here have been the value of you being the auctioneer, the fact that you've got to work hard and pay a price now to get a reward later.
Yeah.
That you run a team. And it's pretty, the more I think about it, your competition is actually competing against a team.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
competing against a system. They're competing against a process.
Yeah.
So I hear that, and I hear a guy that's grateful. You've lost a bit of weight too, I've noticed.
I've been training for a bit, yeah.
So you train how many times a week?
4 or 5, maybe 6.
Yeah. Mornings, nights?
Mornings.
Mornings, okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing that, so you're training. Mate, you're ticking all the boxes. You get an A+ in this interview, right? You get an A+. Tim Heavyside from Fletcher's, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Tom Panos here. I've been working with seven-figure agents for the last 16 years. During that time, I've learnt the ideas, strategies, techniques and behaviours that they're doing to write a seven-figure income. For the first time ever, I'm releasing the remarkable 9 weeks to your best year ever in real estate.
Tom not only knows his stuff, but he's actually walked the talk. He's done it himself. He's been successful in the real estate industry, and now he knows better than anyone that I know how to teach others for that same success.
Brand is what people say about you when you're not there. I've designed this program to provide you 100 times the value of your investment. It is content-based and it has clear what-to and how-tos of real estate.
Tom's content comes from his experiences in life. He delivers reality to the real estate world in his training.
So we're going to cover how to generate more listing presentations, how to go into a listing presentation and be seen as a trusted advisor and be able to overcome other agents that charge lower fees. I'm also going to help you understand the value proposition of becoming a marketing-based agent, not just a transactional-based agent. And most importantly, I'm going to help you structure it, package it, and get it executed so you can start listing and making more sales from the day you enroll in the program. I'm going to make sure that you brain tattoo these behaviors and they become part of your life permanently. I look forward to being your personal coach for the next 9 weeks. Go to tompanos.com.au to get started.